Okay, this is the second Aeneid video. So we did the introductory section before where we were talking about the background to the Aeneid, the reason why there is this clash between the Rutuli and the Trojans, the fact that there's been a duel agreed between Aeneas, the leader of the Trojans, and Turnus, the leader of the Rutuli, and the fact that this truce has been broken and now there's general kind of carnage and fighting. The previous section we did spoke about Aeneas seeing Turnus in amongst this fighting and everybody stopping as the two greatest warriors on the field clash and trade blows. Okay, right, that takes us up to line 715, as you can see on the screen here. And what we've got is we've got our first simile. Okay, so what the simile is a bull simile. As you can see here, Tauri, the bulls. Aeneas is being compared to a bull, and Turnus is being compared to a bull. So they're clashing, just as you've often seen in nature, maybe bulls sort of hitting each other head on and fighting for kind of alpha male position within a particular flock or herd, I think is the term, a herd. But that's basically what's going on. What we're going to do in this section is we're going to talk about the simile. Again, I'm not going to go into the points of comparison. You've got your notes for that. And a lot of it is pretty common sense, quite frankly. But we are going to go through, as usual, a literal translation, word for word, from line 715, the start of the simile, down to, here we go, down to complet. So that's line 724. It's a 10-line, 9 or 10-line summary for the simile. So we'll do that first. Also within this video, we're then going to talk about what happens after the comparison is finished. Basically, there's a description of Jupiter here. Jupiter weighing up the kind of the fates of the two men. One of them is going to survive, and one of them is not. So that will take us down to Letum. Okay, that's the second thing we're going to do in this video. And then the third thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the start of Turnus's demise. The fact that he's thinking that he is immune from damage. So he is Putans. Turnus is thinking himself to be impune, beyond punishment. And that's going to be a problem because he basically kind of strikes Aeneas with his sword, and, you know, fair enough, you know, the Latins and the Trojans all get very, very kind of scared. But the reaction to Aeneas being hit by Turnus with his sword we'll go on to in the next video. So to sum up, what we'll do is we'll go from 715 to 730 in this video. Okay, 715 then. Ac velut. Okay, so ac velut cum. That's the word order. And just as, when. 2 bulls. That's our nominative. In hostile combat. With their heads turned against each other, so facing each other. Clash, that's the main verb. On great simile, a geographical reference, or on the top of Turnus. Again, that's a second geographical reference. Right, I'm just going to put that all together in one very, very quick, non-stop flowing manner so you can see how it fits together. Follow along with the cursor. It does make sense. Just get used to the word order and where the nominatives are, where the verb is, where the accusatives are. And just as, when 2 bulls clash with their heads opposed in hostile battle on great simile or on the top of Turnus. Okay, that's that bit. Okay, the next bit, yeah, okay. Cessere is a shortened form of cesserent, so retreated, retreat. So that's kind of what it means. So the scared herdsman, cessere, back away. The whole flock stands still, silent with fear. And the heifers are female bulls. So, and the heifers wonder who will rule the nemus, the grove. And the second thing they wonder, whom the whole flocks, so whole series of flocks, will follow. Okay, so the action again continues. So this is a continuation of the simile. We're still talking about the bulls here. So illy, they mix up wounds. So they share wounds. They wound each other amongst themselves. Multa v, with great strength. And obnixi, having been fixed on each other, so head to head. That's what head to head is doing in your translation here. So, and obnixi, locked onto each other. They infigant, they fix their corner of their horns, and they wash their necks and their arms. Now again, we're talking about bulls here, so this is their limbs. It might mean shoulders, as your translation's saying, but probably their limbs. With much blood. The whole grove bellows with moaning. Okay, so that's the description of the bulls. The next couple of lines essentially bring out the points of comparison. So we're now actually talking about Aeneas and Turnus rather than the two bulls. Okay, so non aliter, not otherwise, in the same way. So that's where just so is coming from. Just so in your English is corresponding to non aliter, not otherwise. So not otherwise, the Trojan Aeneas and the Daunian hero. Daunus is one of the original rutili, so that means Turnus. So Trojan Aeneas and the Daunian hero, i.e. Turnus, they clash clipes with their shields. A great crash fills the air. Okay, that's the simile done. Let's move on to what Jupiter says very, very quickly. Jupiter is the nominative here. So Jupiter himself holds two scales with equal poise, and he weighs up the differing futures or fates of the two men, so i.e. of Aeneas and of Turnus, the two men. We then need to put in this to see isn't in the Latin. Okay, see this to see here in your translation. This isn't in the Latin, but it kind of makes sense. You need to insert it for it to make sense. He's weighing up, so you could just say, he weighs up whom this is going to be and how this is going to be. But to see makes more sense. So to see whom the trial, so this is the hard work, the fight, the battle, condemns. And quo pondere are agreeing. So and by which weight, et quo pondere, and by which weight death dictates. So who's going to die, who's going to live, and who's going to die is essentially what it's meaning. Okay, hic. So hic is referring to Turnus, and Turnus is also in the Latin further down. So Turnus, and we probably say, hic Turnus. So this Turnus, emicat, jumps forward, thinking he is immune. And with his whole body, he consurgit, he rears up. So he rises, literally, he rises onto his sword, which has been raised high. We spoke about the kind of the body language behind that in lessons, but please do ask if any of this doesn't make sense. So he rises sword high, which is in the air, and he strikes. Okay, that takes us up to line 730. Looking ahead to the next video, what we need to look at is the reaction of the Trojans and the Latins. We need to look at the effect of him striking with his sword. His sword is going to break, and then suddenly he starts to realise the gods are against him. He tries to get away, and suddenly Aeneas is in the ascendancy. Okay, see you in the next video.